Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum, and I'm here today at Kočevje in Slovenia at the fantastic Lynx Brutality match. I'm very excited to shoot this year. And this year I am shooting this in a Grayman and Company suit. And it's not just any suit, it is something specific that I think works really well for this match. This is a jacket that is designed to be worn either with or without rifle plates underneath. So as I have this currently set up, double-breasted, fits nicely, no armor. However, if I need to wear armor because perhaps Yari from Barostaleka has bullied me into wearing armor at every match that I shoot now.
What is he thinking? Doing challenge without armor? You should wear armor.
Well, how do you fit armor plates under a fitted suit jacket? The answer is we have a magnetic button. We take the button out, replace the button over right here, and now I can button this as a single-breasted jacket with a whole lot more room under it, which means, take this off for a moment. Normally, if you were doing this and being subtle about it in a suit, these plates would be underneath your dress shirt. But for video today, it makes sense to be able to see them. And now, I have a suit that still fits nicely over what would normally be concealed under my shirt, rifle plates, in addition to all the other cool things like a concealed carry patch on the inside to prevent your pistol from wearing through, RFID resistant pockets, and a whole slew of other cool things. So I am going to be shooting the match in this rig with a Laugo Remus and a Car 15. So, all right, I realized I forgot to tell you what I'm actually shooting today. So we'll do this very briefly. I have a Car 15. This is actually one of the Troy reproduction GAU 5A/A Air Force carbines, early two-position collapsing stock. And I went ahead, I put a gooseneck mount on it, and I got a surplus Aimpoint Comp M2. So it's nice low mounted. I thought a gooseneck's kind of a fun, cool thing to do. So we'll be using this basic 5.56, nothing special about it. And then for a pistol, I have in a pinnacle concealment holster, a left-handed Laugo Remus. So I have like the bottom of the barrel surplus Aimpoint and the top of the line Laugo Alien Remus with an Aimpoint Koa. Anything that doesn't work with this is going to be my fault, because this is a fantastic pistol that is so far above my skill level, it's kind of ridiculous. But that's what we're going with this year. So now let's dive into stage one.
All right, stage one is down in some live terrain off to one edge of the Lynx Pro Training Center where Lynx Brutality is held. The rest of the stages are basically on flat range terrain, but this one's down in the woods. So you start hanging from a pull-up bar, and then on the timer, you have to progressively climb up 3 different levels of this somewhat rickety scaffolding tower and engage a set of 6 steel targets from each level. So we're going to be unloading after each level, obviously, for safety reasons. There's the 6 targets. The thing that probably made this the most interesting from a shooting perspective, other than the issue of climbing around with all of your gear, is that your view of these targets changed substantially as you went up the tower. So there are branches that started to get in the way, and the challenge became seeing where all of the targets were at each stage. So there we go. I've finished the first round. You just have to hit each target once, then unload, and your last shot fires onto the target with the red stand there. And what that does is guarantee that your rifle is empty. So you can then hang it on a sling, climb up to the second story of the tower here. This one has a much smaller little hole that you have to get the rifle through, and the platform is a little bit small. This is a fairly awkward shooting position here. By the way, I apologize that there is no background audio on this. Lynx Brutality was actually entirely live streamed this year. Actually, it was last year as well. And I have the video footage here from the live stream. However, the original footage includes an audio commentary track, which is good when you're watching live, but doesn't include a bunch of info that I can give you as the actual person involved. So I had to mute that audio track, and that means I was muting gunshots and target hits along with it. Anyway, we're going to find and engage all 6 of the targets. You can see that one really bright one. It was really easy to just assume that that bright target was the first target and not spot the one extra target to its left. Anyway, up to the 3rd and most wobbly level of the tower. They've got this on some good outriggers, but it definitely moves around a little bit on you. You can kind of see that from the camera here that's clamped onto the tower itself. And then repeat the engagement one more time from the top. Now, this Carve 15 that I'm shooting does not have a brass deflector on it, and especially on that 2nd level, I was eating a bunch of brass. I think you'll see it in the next stage when I've got a nice big black mark on my cheek from eating brass coming at a very sharp angle out the back of that Carve 15, which was a bit unpleasant, but just deal with it. There is my last shot. This was a stage that went really well for me. It's a great way to start off the match. Time was 1:54, no penalties, relatively slow, but frankly, the thing with brutality matches is that it is all about avoiding penalties. And actually, this year, the overall winner of the match had 2 penalties. All penalties are 60 seconds. Nobody shot the entire match clean. And so it's really all about trying to avoid all the penalties. And a slow stage is, frankly, just fine if you don't time out and if you don't get any penalties. So coming back down out of the tower, go ahead and get the rifle cleared up and head on over to stage 2. All right, this stage was just outright diabolical. Definitely the hardest stage of the match for me. By the way, you can see that nice black scuff mark on my cheek from all the ejecting brass. Anyway, we're going to start with pistol loaded, safety engaged right there, and holstered. It's an all pistol stage, and oh boy, this is going to be some increasingly difficult shooting positions and some pretty difficult targets. So here we go. You're going to start, well, you have to carry a kettlebell with you the whole stage. And then there are 3 of these balance practice balls. So the first set you have to engage with 1 foot on them, which seems very simple, is a little bit harder than it seems, but not all that difficult. So there we go. 1 foot on the ball, 1 foot on solid ground. Knock down the targets. The white paper are all no-shoots. So I've already screwed it up and hit one of the no-shoots, 1 or 2 of the no-shoots on that first engagement. And these, the targets are getting a little smaller each time. This gets progressively more difficult. So now we go back to the first one, and now you have to stand entirely on the ball. And this is where it got difficult, shall we say. Again, all of the white paper there is no shoot, so it's a 60-second penalty for any shot hitting in the paper. You can see my feet are wobbling around, my legs are wobbling around. I am taking my sweet time waiting to get a shot off because my red dot is just bouncing all over the place here. And I would, in fact, actually end up causing a malfunction while I'm trying to balance, although I don't remember exactly which piece of the stage it was in. So almost one more. Those targets, by the way, are small plastic targets, really cool targets. They're sort of self-healing. They'll eat up a whole bunch of rounds. And when you hit them, there is absolutely no question that they go flying off the stand. So a really good target for this sort of shooting. You can see we're shooting at about 15 yards here. So first off, we're going to go ahead and reload because I used up an entire magazine of ammunition already. And holy cow, this balance ball is a little smaller than the first one. Very, very tricky. So there we go. There's 2. Honestly, watching this back, I'm doing a little better than I felt like I was doing at the time. There's number 3, number 4. And by the way, if you tried to press your foot all the way down at the edge to get a solid position, the RO would yell at you and you'd have to go back to wobbly balance until, to get any actual hits for credit. Now, the 3rd time through this, you have to engage, stand entirely on the ball and hold the kettlebell in your weak hand and shoot strong hand only. I actually induced a malfunction there on myself. I was trying to balance and hold everything very loose, and I held the gun so loosely that I actually did twice limp wrist it, had 2 failures to eject. I don't think most gun designers have this sort of nonsense in mind when they're tuning recoil systems. So par time on this is 3 minutes. I am just about to run completely out of time while reloading. So I get a whole pile of penalties because there are another 5 targets that I didn't even get to engage, plus a number of no-shoots. That was rough. That's not something that a lot of people practice. So definitely my hardest stage of the match. Now, let's move on to something that is rifle and pistol. All right, Giga has named this Yeet, Shoot, Repeat for this year, which seems actually quite appropriate. This is a classic brutality style of stage. There is one target that is about 100 yards from the start position. It's about 80 yards from the final end of the stage. You hit the target once prone, then you chuck the kettlebell. This is, I believe, a 22 kilo kettlebell, so it's going to come in at about 56 pounds. Go prone where it lands, hit the target, and then just stand up and repeat. And you work your way all the way down, about 20 yards here. And now, by the way, the rifle was working fantastically right up until this point, and something happened to my Zero, and I still don't know what it is. I will find out when I get the rifle back. I exported it out to Slovenia temporarily for the match through Polaris Logistics. I should get it back in a couple of weeks, and then I'll be able to find out exactly what happened. But my Zero went completely off. As I was saying there at the match, it went from an aim point to an aim vicinity. It was not the mount, because I actually marked the screws on both the gooseneck and the aim point mount. They did not move, but you can see here I'm having a lot of trouble hitting what should be a very easy target. And it really was just hitting all over the place. Slipped a little bit throwing the kettlebell on that one, but we'll get a better throw next time. Now, the way this is scored is you continue this process for the entire 3-minute par time. So you start at the far end, work your way up about 20 yards towards the target. Once you get to the last position, you unload the rifle and make what we call a high value shot. In this case, every time you get past one of these yellow tape lines and hit the target, you get a 10-second bonus. However, at the very last line, you only get the bonus if you make the hit on your first shot, because you've only got one shot right there. I missed all of those, sadly. The idea here is because you've removed the magazine and fired a shot, the rifle is 100% guaranteed empty, and then we don't have to enforce the 180 when you're bringing the rifle back to the starting position again. So the idea here is you just repeat this as many times as you can in the 3-minute par time. I did really well, except for missing every single one of those bonus shots. So you'll see here, I'm going to end up in like 20-something place, which is actually pretty darn good, but I would have been in third had I done the exact same stage but made the hits instead of missing them. So this was frankly rather frustrating. As I said at the beginning, the aim point that I got for this match, because I wanted something suitable to mount on a gooseneck like that, it is a very surplus aim point. More surplus, more beat up than I expected when I ordered it, and I think that honestly is the problem. So there is a small gun expo associated with Lynx Brutality, and there was an aim point booth there. I was talking to the aim point rep at the booth, who was very concerned about the idea that a comp M2 like this would have lost Zero. So once I get it back, I will be sending it to Aimpoint to see what exactly went wrong with it, assuming that it wasn't the rifle. So we'll shoot some groups, find out exactly what's going on, and get to the bottom of it. But here on the range, there really wasn't a whole lot I could do about it. There isn't any opportunity during the match to, go shoot a group on paper and change Zero or do anything like that. So I'm kind of just stuck with this for the entirety of the day here. All right, the Lynx Pro Training Center has a very tall rappelling tower right in the middle of the range, and every year Giga comes up with one stage that utilizes that tower. So we always get to do some fast roping down. I'm going to be running into that building with the X poster on it. once we get started. So here we go. We start on just the first level of the tower. You have to wear gloves and, of course, a helmet for this. And I'm going to fast rope pretty slow. I'm actually very much slow roping this because my gloves are not very thick and I do not want to burn off my hands in order to gain an extra 1 second of time coming down that rope. So at the beginning here, you are going to load the rifle. Remember to turn off the safety. And then very simple, you put 2 rounds on each of the targets 3 times. So you have to run the stage with 3 magazines, each loaded with 6 cartridges only. And then it just 2-2-2 reload, 2-2-2 reload, 2-2-2. And then drop the rifle on the table to your left. So these are easy shots, and yet I still managed to shoot too low. I could blame the aim point for that, but I don't think it's actually a rifle and optic problem. It was me going a little too fast, not holding a 0 nice and high to deal with bore offset. Anyway, once you get all the rifle hits, you then have to run back to the tower, run up to the second level of the tower where there is a scope on a dummy rifle sitting on a tripod. Here we go. You must use it to observe this placard in the ammo can, and that will tell you the order of the plates that you have to shoot. So I have to shoot white first, then red, then blue on, I believe they call it a turbo star that we'll get to here in a moment. Once again, slow roping down just to make sure I don't burn my hands. They were a little toasty by the bottom. I managed to drop a magazine out of a pocket here. I am storing my magazines loaded in the cummerbund pouches of my plate carrier. It's a Varstaleka low profile plate carrier, appropriately enough. But the empty mags I stuffed in pockets, one of them fell out. And as a way to keep the match running quickly, you have to keep all of your gear with you. So any piece of equipment dropped or left behind is a 60-second penalty. So definitely going to take a few seconds to go back and grab that mag to avoid the penalty. Now, I have to, as I said, start with the white plates, and holy cow, this thing got going fast. The Laugo is a fantastic pistol, but it does not entirely make up for skill. And that top... that first set of white plates was quite challenging to get. So finished off 1 magazine, reload it. The second set that I have to shoot are red, and this order changed for each shooter, so you couldn't just watch what the previous person did. By the time I got down to the blue plates, pretty easy. They're hanging at the bottom. They didn't get nearly as much momentum going as the top plates. So there you go, 120 seconds in penalties. That was 2 misses on the paper, embarrassingly, but otherwise, like, that was pretty good. I finished this stage with about 1.5 seconds to spare. I'm sorry, a little more than that, but I finished the stage without a whole ton of time to spare. Very happy to have not parred out on it, and it's always fun to shoot the Laugo on some targets like that. All right, and the gauntlet is the last stage for the first day. This is essentially an obstacle course with a couple of fun little elements in it, along with some pretty challenging rifle and pistol shooting. In particular, you absolutely need to know your height over bore and your holdovers for the rifle, because this stage involves targets that are about 2 inches in diameter. There you go. You can see them down there blue. Once again, sitting on top of no-shoot paper. So every round in the paper is a 60-second penalty, and those can add up really terrifyingly quickly. We're going to do several iterations back and forth across the range here. We're going to shoot rifle on the left side and pistol on the right side. So I knew this was going to be challenging because of the issues I was having with 0, and like normal holdover should be approximately 1 target high here. Off to a good initial start there, and then it kind of falls apart a bit. I was trying to be very careful to shoot high and only bring my shots down as I knew that I was too high, which didn't entirely work. I've already got 1 penalty hit on the paper on that 3rd target here. But like, 0 was gone. This thing was just kind of flinging bullets in a shotgun pattern. And so it took me a while here to actually get all of those off. But happily, I was able to do it without accruing too many penalties. The next step in the stage is to cut your way through 3 chains blocking this tunnel. So you're specifically cutting the carabiners, and that way the stage could replace, the range staff could replace the carabiners for each shooter. That bolt cutter was a bit of a challenge for a lot of people. I did have the opportunity to watch a number of people, and I've done something like that before. You then have to get across the balance beam, which should not be a problem. Like, I normally think balance is a pretty good skill of mine. And yet I had two false starts on that balance beam. If you set your foot down on the ground on the balance beam, you had to start over. Next up, we're going to do the same sort of engagement, but with pistol. As you can see here, that rifle shooting is not a me problem, it is a rifle problem, because with the Laugo, it was no problem to just pop all 5 of those over in no time. Now, that second tunnel that I just came through, dropped a magazine, gotta get that, or it's a penalty. That second tunnel, those hanging chains, in theory, are electrified. There's a car battery sitting next to the tunnel, but I never felt anything. I don't think that system was really working. So anyway, back here to the rifle section one more time. You can see the last target is orange. That last target will be a high value shot once again. So after I knock down the first 4, I need to pull the magazine, and I only have 1 shot available to hit that orange one, which is, again, you can see how much success I'm having here hitting the blue ones. The orange is going to be tricky. By the way, I bumped those 2 enough sideways that the RO considered them hit and told me I didn't need to knock them all the way down. Again, forgot a magazine. Like, there were a lot of small problems I had that stacked up on this stage. I took a lot more care getting across the balance beam the second time through the theoretically electrified, but don't really actually seem to be electrified chains. And I have 15 seconds left to clean off this pistol rack set of pistol plates. And after 3 misses, we're going to go ahead and just knock these all off and make it look pretty easy and finish the stage with about 3 seconds to spare. 420 seconds in penalties, sadly, from no shoots, as well as leaving 1 additional magazine on the range. So this was not my greatest stage ever, and my shirt came undone. And well, that was the end of day 1 of Lynx Brutality. So a fantastic match. It always is, but this year was even better than normal. So stick around, check in tomorrow, and we will have stages 6 through 10 and the overall results. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.